Hi, my name is Isla Bella, and I'm a part of the Steiner Climate Ambassador Internship Program. I'm here with Sherifat, who's another climate ambassador in the program, to talk about food systems and sustainable food growing. So, Sherifat, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone. My name is Sherifat Alabi. I'm a student at The Ohio State University. I'm majoring in agricultural communication.
And you're a PhD candidate, right?
Yes, I am studying for my PhD, and so I'm resuming my second year in the fall term.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. So, I've heard a little bit about your research. Can you tell me a little more about it?
Yes, I'm looking forward to kind of advocate for small scale farmers to drive their um livelihood stuff, and anything that could benefit small scale farmers in general. And especially, I'll be looking forward to work with a BIPOC community, people of color. And so I look forward to really knowing more about them, especially because I came from Nigeria and I'm just trying to know more about the US agricultural food system.
Yeah, and working with small scale BIPOC farmers, that's also what you're doing with your research.
Yes, I have an upcoming research that seeks to document and amplify the voices of this group of farmers
Mhm.
to document their lived experiences, especially their challenges, successes, and motivations that has kept them doing what they are doing, especially with respect to sustainable agriculture and regenerative farming practices.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so
Yeah, it's so
and so
much.
needed. Yeah. So I'm curious, what have you learned from the people that you've been working with or interviewed so far?
We have not interviewed anybody yet. I'm just at the recruitment phase. I have my IRB already been approved, so I already starting out to recruit farmers. But sometimes they are skeptical about doing research, and I know farmers are very busy people, so we try to kind of work with what fitting into their schedule. So their consent is what matters the most. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you help them feel more comfortable with research institutions that might make them feel all sorts of ways?
Yeah. Making them more comfortable is allowing them to understand the depth of what the study is all about and the influence or the outcome, the significance of what that research is working on to bring out the results. So once they understand that and if it fall in line with what they also want to get out to people to know more about what they are doing, and then they also want maybe some form of support from people. So I believe they will want to look into it, but time is just the most important factor in all of this. And because these farms or farmers, they are scattered all over. Trying to reach them is also a big factor. But if it's a research, we'll work on getting them, but their consent to participate is the most significant of it all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm also wondering, can you draw this connection for watchers or listeners between the importance of uplifting small scale and BIPOC farmers and how it relates to, I guess, the history of agriculture as a whole? Because it's a very complex topic.
Yes. So, as you know, in the United States, many years back, decades ago, the Black people, especially people of African descent, were who migrated into the United States, were used based solely as labor, and then they form a very big part of the agricultural system in the US, of which what people are enjoying right now. And so this systemic situation or racial injustice has kind of pushed them to the edge of the surface, like they are not really being known, or many people don't even want to be associated with farming again. And with this climate situation challenges that we have, looking forward to bring sustainable agriculture back to what we have right now, because indigenous people, indigenous knowledge back then is what is now being brought to us again as sustainable regenerative agriculture. So we need to tap into this group of people that already have this indigenous knowledge of practices, and then let people know that they are also contributing to the food system in the US.
Yeah, that was such a wonderful explanation of everything. I think
Yeah,
I heard you say two things that I want to summarize to make sure we're getting everything here.
yeah,
So number one is that there is a troubling history of slavery as it relates to agriculture, and that has
yeah,
created some um, disconcerting relationships between Black people, especially of African descent, and land, and
yeah,
that creates some barriers
yes,
in the agriculture world. And then number
yeah,
two, there's a lot of indigenous knowledge that has not been honored with the way that we're doing conventional agriculture right now. And as climate change happens, if we're able to center indigenous people in conversations about agriculture, listen to their wisdom, their ways of knowing, then we'll probably have a better shot of building resilience in our systems. Is all of that what you
exactly.
were? Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think it's really important, and I'm seeing more and more of, I guess, an awareness of these ideas, but still not nearly enough for what we need to create change.
Yes, exactly. And this is what we have been saying, especially during the internship that I just finished. We have been in contact with many Black people, and I am so happy to see them practicing what they know how to do best.
Mhm.
So I think the future holds a great opportunity for sustainable agriculture.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, can you talk a little bit more about those sites and what you've learned from them, and perhaps your experience of the internship as a whole?
Yeah, the one that strikes me the most is one farm that we went to, the South Side Family Farm, where this farmer look back and see like there needs to be cultural food. I don't really, I understand that, but the motivation for him to start up that farm operation, I think is really, really interesting to know. How to contribute to his community. That community is majorly a Black community. So this is a way for him to kind of make sure his community have access to their culturally known food. And that is a very good one. So I know this group of farmers have different motivation for them to starting up their own businesses, but on the long run, it all goes back to the community. Yeah, giving back.
Yeah, I found that really inspiring too. And I also remember community food initiatives in Athens was
Yeah.
talking about food insecurity. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of us think about food insecurity. We think not having enough to eat, like not enough calories on any given day.
Mhm.
But what community food initiatives and Southside Family Farms was explaining is it's not just about getting enough calories, it's about having
Mhm.
food that you like,
Yeah.
that feels good to you,
Mhm.
and food that is culturally significant. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of that can get left out of the conversation.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
so focused on the
Yeah.
calorie.
Very correct. Yeah. Accessibility and availability.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm guessing that was your favorite site of the internship. I'm wondering,
Yeah.
do you have like a key learning or a takeaway or a shift in your mindset that happened over the course of the past 6 weeks?
One thing that's very interesting to me is to see, because I have read so much about what regenerative practices are, and then this internship afforded me the practical operation of what it is on the farm. And so knowing how tedious it could be, especially weed is an enemy of a farmer on the on any farmland. So having to do so much to get rid of weeds and all of those things require too much effort. And then these farmers, they could not, although they might afford to have labor to get weeds away, but it will take a chunk of their profit. So that is one thing I have learned. Like if we want to do regenerative sustainable agriculture, you need to have more hands on the farm. And through this way is when we can reconnect people to make sure understand and to know what farming is by volunteering. I know people people are engaged in so many things, but if we can redirect their attention to volunteering work on the farm, I think it will go a long way. Yeah, that is one big thing I have learned on the farm. And the fact that I also learned that many of us agricultural students, we do not know much about farming operation. And I think our schools need to redirect our attention. Maybe we should have more opportunity to work more on the farm and see what is happening. So that is a big one for me that I found.
Yeah, the real world experience has been really big for me too. Like actually
Yeah,
getting out there after reading all of these books and actually talking to people and seeing what they're doing,
yeah,
hearing about what's going on. It's really impactful. And the other
yes,
part I was hearing you touch on is, I mean, it's almost a little bit about consolidation. Like it's so difficult for small farmers because right now our system is set up to like support and subsidize these gigantic farms at the expense of small farmers. And of course,
mm-hmm.
those small farmers are often BIPOC farmers because we're just seeing some of these programs that are bringing people back into this industry. So it's a really messed up web of
Yeah.
consolidation. But I'm wondering, do you have ideas on things that just like a normal person who's not super involved in activism or policy, something that they could do in, I don't know, a day, a week, a month, a year, a practice that could help break this cycle?
Um, I think one thing that they could do is to um, be purchasing their food, anything at the farmers markets that would essentially make them in tune with what is happening, because at the farmers market they could ask questions about the farming practices and all of those things. They could get education on farming practices. And then I think people should be more conscious about what they buy now.
Mm.
Like, okay, how is this thing being produced, sustainably or unsustainably? So education is the key for most people, education. But even though I understand that even though people are educated, the prices of things still make people go the other way. You know this is good, but you can't afford it, so you still go back to buy what is not sustainable, what has not been sustainably produced. So governments still have a lot to do in all of this, even though individually we can make the difference, but without government support,
Mhm.
like making incentive for farmers, so that will also go a long way.
Exactly. We need inexpensive food, but we also need food that's been grown sustainably. And we all
Yeah,
know
yeah,
those are mutually exclusive.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. And that's not going to work going forward. So we got to find another plan.
Yes.
So I want to back up just a little bit and ask about what brought you into this field and got you interested in sustainable agriculture.
Yeah. So I read about I think the whole world is now about sustainable agriculture. So anything sustainable, like we can renew things to make new ones. So that brought me into the conversation of sustainable agriculture. And I essentially want to make a difference in my field to the small scale farming population, the people of color, and in my community in general, and back home in my own country, Nigeria. We also need to take this sustainable agriculture back home because we don't know much about it. So I need to learn more about it here and then take all the knowledge from here back home to support farmers and then to make sure we have food secure in the future. Not just now, but also in the future.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. And it's really cool to hear because I know that Aravind, who's another one of the climate ambassadors, is hoping to bring what he's been learning back to India as well. So seeing
Yeah,
this program is starting to have a global impact is just heartwarming.
yeah.
I'm wondering, can you talk a little bit about the similarities and differences you've seen between agriculture in Nigeria and the United States?
Oh, similarities. There are no similarities. The US is big on the agricultural food system. So Nigeria is just like following. We grow mostly on we grow on small scale. That is the new thing that like is being now promoted in the United States, like advocating for people to practice agriculture on a small scale, backyard garden, all of those things. We have all this in Nigeria. So that is the only similarity I could say. Small scale farming is what we have in Nigeria. So, but every other thing, US is top. Yeah, US is top.
What do you mean by that?
US because you have enough technology, and sometimes what you could mean by small scale here in the US is actually big scale in Nigeria.
Right.
So we could, our small scale, we could be talking about half an acre, 1 acre, 2 acres. And here in the United States, you could be talking of a small scale as a 5 acres, 10 acres. So these are the differences that we have. And we do not essentially have mechanized farming. And then we use family labor on the farmland. And so our seasons are also different, and the type of crop that we grow are also different. So there is a lot of difference of what we have here in the US and Nigeria.
Yeah, so that kind of small scale agriculture that doesn't use a lot of like industrialized equipment, it seems like there's like that's probably more sustainable than what we do here. What practices are on the less sustainable side that you're hoping to bring back?
Yeah, the unsustainable side is maybe the tilling. That could be what I'll be taking back. Although in Nigeria we practice organic food produce, but it's not so much on the large scale. So I'll be hoping to take these sustainable agricultural practices back home. The non-tilling thing, chemical. I know that farmers have used the land over the years, and they have been using so much chemicals to make sure that they have profit for themselves, for their family. So this new knowledge about regenerative agriculture is not so known in Nigeria at all. So I'll be looking forward to have so much knowledge in it here in the United States, and then be able to take it back home to Nigeria for broader practices.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So
yeah.
Another question I have, and this is something I wasn't like initially going to ask everybody, but then I just started asking it and I loved hearing the answers. So what advice do you have to other people in the environmental sustainability agriculture sphere?
Yeah, my advice is whenever we have time, we should seek out volunteer opportunity at any farm close to us. The farmers sure need help on the farm so that they can break even with profits and every other thing they are doing on the farm. So this is one thing I have seriously learned during the internship. Like anywhere I see an opportunity for volunteer work on any farm, I will gladly take it. So that is one thing I'll seek from youth to do on any farm close to them.
Yeah, and that reminds me of something another ambassador said, which was that this interview showed them that there's so many more opportunities in, I mean, especially Central Ohio, because that's where we were focused.
Yes.
Than they initially recognized, and it just created this awareness that things like this probably exist in a lot of places if we look for them. So I think getting out, doing that volunteering, connecting with the community, it really is so important.
Yes.
So do you have any other thoughts that you would like to share on these topics or anything else? Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes, bye.
Bye.